industry, man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent. It's about playing the game. The industry, real niggas is dying to get in. The industry, just to find they don't fit in. The industry ain't what it used to be. The industry's trying to control the way you MC. They want you to dress like this and talk like that. But I'm going to dress like this and talk with the bat. The industry got your word meaning nothing. The industry, fuck what you heard because he's bluffing. The industry, money, bitches, hate, for that day to try to take a fucking thing off my plate. The industry like, wait, but in the streets we like, get 'em. 17 up in that thing, catch 'em sleeping and hit 'em. The industry, if you ain't got a strong mind, the industry will break you down, it's a matter of time. The industry, vultures with nothing to feast on. See me, I'm getting my beast on. The industry, stay in the dirt, play in the dirt, test the wrong one in the industry and you will get hurt. I'm not an industry artist, I'm an artist in the industry. So I do what the fuck I want because nobody can finish me. The industry, wanted, dead or alive, new artists to sell their souls in the way they survive. The industry don't give a fuck about you, but the industry couldn't make a dime without you. The industry, I'm sick of this industry shit. The industry playing them like a industry bitch. They tried to finish me quick, but I am long, so I stand strong. Fuck a beat. Listen to the words in the damn song.
It's an evil world we live in.
I've got a secret.
I worship the devil.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You're doing these songs, you know, you're still on tour.
I do, but I don't take it for granted.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, you know, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander on this earth, and this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Hey, Chavis, how come they ain't killing us? If we're in the spirit world, asshole, they can't see us. Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration on how to play this role.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal.
I did a song called Fortunate Fan. And it's like the hook goes.
One thing we all adore, something worth dying for. Nothing but pain, stuck in this game, searching for fortune.
Fame, something we all adore, the one thing we dying for.
Nothing but pain, stuck in this game,
searching for fortune and fame. That's what I hear. It's so basic that we all want to be famous and noticed and watched, and we all want money and riches, and we all want to find us out of life from a
Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth.
I kind of sang about, you know, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out.
So I sold my soul to the devil.
Yeah, well, sometimes they don't want to, and they're, you know, Gaga, we can't get, you know, the frequency's weird, and, you know, it's sounding a little bit strange, and I'm like,
If you don't get this right now, I swear to Lucifer, I'm gonna...
I am misunderstood a lot at times. My music, my image, people have their whole thing about me, whether it be me being a devil worshiper or whatever. Besides them reading into my hand over my eye on my album cover.
Why is your hand over your eye on your album cover?
Because I'm a devil worshiper, what are you talking about?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Hold on, let me explain something to them real quick. Before everybody starts screaming and saying, oh, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers entered the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So, let's get it. Oh, you already here. I'm so sorry. You can't get out. You're stuck. It's over. You heard the song 1,000,000 times and you didn't even know. That's up, but I still love you anyway.
What did he say?
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I usually play the random read for the day, but apparently I did not switch over my screen here, so we're going to go ahead and start off the show. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host for tonight, Java. You there, brother?
Greetings. How's it going, everybody?
So we got a really heavy one today, man. And to be honest, I don't think we're going to be able to touch a whole. There's just too much information on this particular dude that the time that's allotted for this show is not going to be enough. But I guarantee that we're going to revisit this artist again. Guarantee. But anyhow, I had fun the last show. I know it's been
yeah.
It's
that was a good one.
That was a really good one. And you know, I was getting a lot of feedback on the last one, and you know, I had a lot of fun with Uncool being with us too. She definitely was a good addition to this show, and it was a lot of fun. And you know, there were just angles that were being touched that you and I probably wouldn't even reach over, but she was able to definitely reach to the angles that we did not see for sure. But
right, yeah,
it would have been interesting to have her here today because this artist, man, this person has a lot of things going on. Well, he had a lot of things going on for him.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here.
There is, and I guarantee, like I said, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna be revisiting this artist as well. So, do you want to go ahead and tell everybody who we're going to be talking about tonight?
Sure. Tonight we're going to begin delving into Michael Jackson and his story in relation to the music industry as we have now uncovered thus far. And, you know, it's interesting because now knowing the things that we know about the higher ups of the industry and how the industry is utilized by the elite and that global cult type thing, that it makes this whole story have a little bit of a different light to it.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people would say that, oh, these artists are they're part of the club. I would beg to differ. I honestly think that they're just pawns being used to pull the masses of people, because the people who are really in control of all these things, they're not in the limelight at all. They're the hidden hand. They're the hidden They're the hidden people. They're the puppeteers who are pulling the puppets' strings. These people, on the other hand, the celebrities and the actors, the musical artists, they're all pawns being used to draw people in. And I think we've exposed enough to show that there is something demonic about the music industry. And it's unfortunate because I think I would say it's a fair assessment to say that everybody, at least listening to the show, is a fan of music. Doesn't matter what type of music, but everybody is a fan of music, some way, some form, somehow. But it's just unfortunate that these very popular tunes that we grew up with, they seem to have been mixed in with what we thought was innocent music, but was really a way to kind of like indoctrinate us to thinking certain ways and having subconscious thoughts about things that we wouldn't even regularly think of. So it's just an interesting, this whole thing that we started with, the Go Back to Sleep, has been a very, very insightful thing.
It's interesting that it kind of seems like music is being used against the populace.
Yeah. But
and like a lure into deeper and darker things.
Unfortunately, it's working, dude, because you know, I would even say that I'm okay. I would even say that even the music of now, even though it doesn't really sound that great, it's still able to captivate the youth, right? And it's still
Yeah.
able to draw in people. And then the older people who don't know what's going on here would say, "Oh, it's just a trend, it's just a fad, things the cult, like, not the culture, but the trends change in music, and this is what's popular now." And it's no. It's always been the same. The goal has always been the same, but now it's just in a different tune. You get what I'm saying?
Right. And it's specific. I think it's intentionally put out the way it is, and it's like very specific in the tones. Like from the modern music, like the sounds themselves are
Yeah.
specific. I really think to cause certain changes in the mind of the youth.
Yep, absolutely. It's funny because I was just watching a video about I was watching this video earlier today. I don't know if you remember Ed Lover from
Oh yeah.
from Yo MTV Raps.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how the difference between the rappers back then and the rappers now, and he was mentioning about how everything is low frequency now. That it and I've noticed this too, DJing for like school events or even Sweet 16 or quinceañera parties. I've noticed that the youth, they don't dance. Like when I was younger and I go to parties, it's all about dancing.
Yeah.
And even with the old school rap stuff, you see it. They're dancing in the music videos, but now you see the dancing, but it's more of a sexualized dancing. And not only that, but I noticed that the kids now, they don't even dance. They jump around thinking that they're in the music video themselves, and they act as if they're like popping bottles of whatever it is that they're popping, and they're just, I don't know. It's not the same as it was before. Um, and I think the frequencies is definitely has an effect to this because they don't dance, but the higher frequencies before made you want to get up and dance. So it's definitely,
And it's not inspiring or uplifting
exactly
in any way.
You took the words out of my mouth because I suck at being articulate, and that's exactly what I was trying to say. So anyhow, should we go ahead and start with this?
Yeah.
All right. Let me go ahead and pull the bio first. We got to go through MJ's bio here. This is of course, it's going to be quite an extensive bio because he's been around for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and share this with you first. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go ahead and share this with everybody out there. Okay. Give me a minute, peeps. If I'm not interacting with you on the chats, I apologize. It's because I'm having to go through these screens, and it's hard for me to multitask with the screens and having Java as my co-host and also having to monitor the chats. I apologize. So I'll try to get to that as soon as I can. All right, so we're here again on allmusic.com, and I'll go ahead and start off the first couple of paragraphs, and then we'll just go back and forth with that. So this one is written by Stephen Thomas Erlewine, and I think he's the same guy who wrote Tupac's own as well from last week, if I remember right. So it says here, Michael Jackson was merely the biggest pop star of his era. Shaping the sound and style of the 1970s and 80s, he was one of the defining stars with the 20th century, a musician who changed the contours of American culture. A preternaturally preternaturally. Did I write? Preternaturally gifted
Yeah.
singer and dancer, Jackson first rose to stardom in 1969 as the 11-year-old frontman for his family's band, the Jackson 5. As remarkable as the Jackson 5 had at the dawn of the 70s, each of their first 4 singles went to number 1, and they stayed near the top of the charts for the next 5 years. It all served as a preamble to Jackson's solo career. Off the Wall, the dazzling 1979 album co-produced by Quincy Jones, which I have issues with, man. I've heard a lot of rumors about that dude, and he's not a good dude at all. Announced Jackson as a mature talent, and the singles Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You turned it into a blockbuster. Despite its success, Jackson believed Off the Wall was pigeonholed as an R&B record. Determined to break through this glass ceiling, he reunited with Jones to create Thriller. The 1982 album that shattered every record on the books. Jeez, I can't even read. Thriller was designed to appeal to every audience, and its diversity was evident by its guests. He enlisted Eddie Van Halen to play guitar on the hard rock of Beat It, while inviting Paul McCartney to duet on the chipper soft pop tune, The Girl Is Mine. I believe they did more than just one, right? They had another one too, I think.
Yeah, and they were friends. McCartney was like Jackson's mentor in a lot of ways.
Interesting. Jackson also expanded the horizons of soul and dance music, producing pioneering masterpieces like Billie Jean. The single provided Thriller with its 1983 breakthrough, thanks in part to its groundbreaking music video, which became the first clip from a black artist to enter steady rotation on the fledgling MTV. Jackson's smashing of the network's racial barriers was only one aspect of Thriller's unprecedented crossover. 7 of its 9 songs were top 10 hits. It earned 8 Grammy Awards and topped the Billboard charts for 37 weeks, matching its American success internationally to become the biggest selling album of all time, earning 32 platinum certifications in the US and moving over 100 million albums worldwide. Such a phenomenal triumph pushed Jackson into the stratosphere and bad. The eagerly anticipated 1987 sequel to Thriller, co-produced once again with Quincy Jones, kept him there, generating 5 number 1 singles on the Billboard charts and selling 30 million copies internationally, 2/3 of which were outside the U.S. Jackson parted ways with Jones in 1991's Dangerous, another global blockbuster. His story, I like the way that's written right there. A 1995 double disc set that paired a disc of hits with a new album produced a couple of international number 1 singles. Invincible, his 2001 album, turned out to be his last. Health problems culminated in his untimely death in the summer of 2009, but at that point, Jackson's legend was safe. He stood alongside Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, Hank Williams, Elvis Presley, Miles Davis, and Bob Dylan as one of the musicians that created the sound of American in the 20th century.
Such heights came from modest beginnings. Michael was born in Gary, Indiana on August 29, 1958, the 5th son of Catherine and Joe Jackson. His mother was a Jehovah's Witness, and his father a former boxer turned steelworker who played guitar on the side. Harboring aspirations of musical stardom, Joe shepherded his sons into a musical act around 1962. At that point, it was just the 3 eldest children, Tito, Jackie, and Jermaine, but Michael joined them in 1964 and soon dominated the group. Stealing moves from James Brown and Jackie Wilson, Michael became the epicenter of the Jackson 5 as they earned accolades at local talent shows and went on to play soul clubs throughout the Midwest, working their way towards the East Coast in 67, where they won an amateur contest at the Apollo Theater. Returning to Gary, the group cut a pair of singles for the local imprint Steeltown in 1968. I'm a big boy and we don't have to be over 21. But their big break arrived when they opened for Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers at Chicago's Regal Theater. Impressed, Taylor brought them to the attention of Berry Gordy Jr., who signed the group to Motown in March of 1969 and then sent them out to Los Angeles, where he helped mastermind their national launch. I Want You Back, a song written and produced by Motown's new crew, The Corporation, saw release in October 1968 when Michael Jackson was just 11 years old. By January 1970, I Want You Back rocketed to #1 on both the pop and R&B charts. The Jackson 5 became a sensation, crossing over from R&B to AM pop radio with ease. Two more hits followed, ABC and The Love You Save, both exuberant bubblegum soul, before I'll Be There revealed Michael's facility with ballads. All three of these sequels went to #1, and striking while the iron was hot, Motown spun Michael off onto a solo act. His first solo single, Got to Be There, arrived at the end of 1971, reaching #4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and then a cover of Bobby Day's Chestnut, Rockin' Robin, peaked at 2 in early 1972. Later that year, Ben, the title theme ballad to an exploitation movie about a killer rat, earned Jackson his first Oscar nomination for Best Original Song, and he would lose.
Not long afterwards, the careers of both Michael and the Jackson 5 slowed, victims of shifting tastes, adolescence, and creative battles with their label. One last hit for Motown arrived in 1974, Dancing Machine, a single that brought the group in line with the disco explosion before the group departed Motown for Epic in 1975. With the new label came a new name, along with a slight lineup change. Jermaine stayed at Motown to pursue a solo career, and younger brother Randy took his place. Following a pair of albums produced by Philly soul mainstays Gamble and Huff, Michael emerged as the group's creative director on 1978's Destiny, co-writing their 1979 smash Shake Your Body Down to the Ground with Randy. By that point, Michael had already made a considerable solo impression by starring as the Scarecrow in The Wiz, Sidney Lumet's 1978 musical adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, working on the soundtrack, a record highlighted by his duet with Diana Ross on Ease On Down the Road. He met producer Quincy Jones, a titan of jazz and pop in the 1950s and 60s, who had yet to score a smash hit in the 70s. The pair hit it off, and I'm sure they did hit it off, and decided to work on Jackson's next solo endeavor. But first, the Jackson 5 released Destiny, which raised the profile of both the band and Michael himself. All this was preamble to Off the Wall in 1979 album that definitively established Michael Jackson as a force of his own. Collaborating with producer Jones and songwriter Rod Temperton, Jackson consciously attempted to appeal to multiple audiences with Off the Wall, turning the album into a dazzling showcase of all his different sounds and skills. Anchored by a pair of #1 hits, the Incandescent, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and Rock With You, the record turned into a smash, peaking at 4 on the Billboard 200, selling millions of copies as it ranked in awards, but losing the grand prize of Album of the Year at the Grammys, leaving Jackson with the lingering impression that he needed to cross over into the pop mainstream with greater force. But before he could do that, he had to complete one more Jackson 5 album, 1980's Triumph, a record with 3 hit singles, Lovely One, This Place Hotel, and Can You Feel It, whose title seemed to allude to Michael's solo success and certainly benefited from his heightened stardom.
After Triumph, Jackson reunited with producer Jones and songwriter Temperton to create the sequel to Off the Wall, crafting a record that deliberately hit every mark in the musical mainstream. Paul McCartney was brought in to underscore Michael's soft rock leanings. Eddie Van Halen pushed Jackson into metallic hard rock, and the remainder of the album glided from disco to pop to soul in an effortless display of his range. The Girl Is Mine, the first hit single from Thriller, didn't suggest its adventure. Jackson played it safe by releasing the McCartney duet as the album's lead. But the second single, Billie Jean, forged ahead into new, unnameable territory. Billie Jean was a pop explosion, topping the charts in the US, UK, Australia, and Canada. Some of its success can no doubt be credited to its striking music video, the first to break the fledgling MTV's then unspoken racial barrier. After Jackson, the network began playing more black acts. Some of the single's success is due to his sensational performance on Motown's 25th anniversary special, Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, Forever. In 1983, a performance aired on May 16th, where Jackson unveiled his signature moonwalk dance, a move that made it appear as if he was gliding backwards, and announced himself to the world as a mature talent. Beat It, accompanied by an equally cinematic video, turned into an equally huge smash on MTV and helped push Thriller into the stratosphere. You Want to Be Starting Something, Human Nature, and PYT kept Thriller at number 1, and its last single was an extravaganza, with Jackson letting director John Landis turn the song into a short musical horror film. By the time the album wrapped up its 2-year run on the charts, it had racked up 37 weeks at number 1.
Wow.
It sold 29 million copies, becoming the biggest selling album ever. Even as Thriller was something of a pop perpetual motion machine, selling records of its own accord, Jackson worked hard. He once again teamed with Paul McCartney singing Say, Say, Say from McCartney's 1983 album, Pipes of Peace. And he reunited with the Jackson 5 for 1984's Victory, supporting the album with an international tour. Prior to its launch, Jackson suffered a serious accident while filming a Pepsi commercial. I remember that one.
Me too.
Designed to accompany the tour. During the shoot, pyrotechnics burned Jackson's head, sending him to the hospital with second-degree burns to the scalp. And as he recovered, he started using painkillers for the first time.
Jackson earned accolades for his philanthropic I can't even pronounce that word. Philanthropic work, especially his collaboration with Lionel Richie on the 1985 charity single, We Are the World. But along with these positive notes, wild stories began to circulate in the tabloids. Some further bad press accompanied his acquisition of the Lennon and McCartney songwriting catalog in 1985, a move that severed his partnership with Paul McCartney. Jackson also flirted with becoming a movie star, working with George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola on the 3D film Captain EO. I remember going to Disneyland and watching that. Shown only at Disney's IMAX theaters starting in 1986. Once this appeared, he started work on the task of following up Thriller. Working once again with Quincy Jones, Jackson refined the Thriller template for 1987's Bad. Like Thriller, the first single was an adult contemporary number, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, a duet with the unknown Seda Garrett, before it cranked out hits Bad, The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror. Man, all these were all hits, man. Man in the Mirror and Dirty Diana. All reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 between 1987 and 1988 with Another Part of Me. That was the Captain EO song, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that. Just missing the top 10 and Smooth Criminal peaking at 7. Bad didn't dominate the charts in other countries, but its singles reached the top 10 internationally with some regularity, aided in part with a globe-spanning tour, the first solo tour of Michael Jackson's career. The Bad World Tour broke records across the globe, and in its wake, he started calling himself the King of Pop. Oh, so he proclaimed that himself. I thought that was given to him. A nickname that was something of a retort to Elvis Presley being known as the King of Rock and Roll. Once the tour wrapped up, Jackson returned to his new home, a Santa Ynez ranch that he purchased in March 1988 and renamed Neverland, playing up his Peter Pan fixation.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
All right, Jackson renewed his deal with Sony, the corporation that purchased Epic and CBS, in 1991, and then set to work on his next album. This time, he decided to part ways with Quincy Jones, choosing to work with a variety of collaborators, chief among them Teddy Riley, who helped usher Michael into the realm of New Jack Swing. Black or White, the album's first video, caused some controversy, which helped generate initial press and sales and sent the single to number 1. Remember the Time and In the Closet, interesting title, also made it into the Billboard Top 10 in early 92, but subsequent singles Jam and Heal the World stalled in the low 20s, while Who Is It made it to 14. Jackson's period of massive success was starting to end, and as it did, Jackson entered a rough personal period. In 1993, a 13-year-old boy accused Jackson of molestation. Over the next 2 years, the case played out in public and in the justice system, eventually settling out of court for an undisclosed terms in 95. No charges were ever filed. During all this, Jackson married Lisa Marie Presley in May of 94, which is interesting since he's compared to Elvis. That's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Their marriage lasted just 19 months. Jackson rebooted his career in 95 with his story, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1, a double disc set divided into an album of hits and an album of new material, preceded by a double A-sided single containing the ballad Childhood and Scream, a duet with his sister Janet. The album underperformed compared to its predecessors, but still generated big hits, highlighted by You Are Not Alone, the first single to debut at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The subsequent singles, They Don't Care About Us and Stranger in Moscow, underperformed in the US but were top 10 singles in the UK. And History also did well in other global international markets, aided in part by the lengthy accompanying global tour. In 97, Jackson followed History with Blood on the Dance Floor. an album that topped the UK charts but only reached 24 in the US.
Interesting title, huh?
Yeah,
Blood on the
I
Dance
didn't
Floor.
realize he made an album like that.
Even looking at that cover right there is kind of
Cover looks
it
odd.
does look, yeah, it does look sus, man. I mean, look at the hand signal. You can see the hand signals already.
Yep.
Let me just show people out there. You can see it already. You can see in the shadows too. See? Interesting. Very interesting.
Hmm.
All right. By that point, Jackson had married his nurse, Debbie Rowe, who would soon become to the mother of two children, Prince Michael Jackson Jr. and Paris Michael Catherine Jackson. Over the next couple of years, Jackson raised his family and performed at charitable events, starting work on a comeback plan for 2001. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo act that year. The Jackson 5 had previously been inducted, and he staged two major 30th anniversary concerts in September 2001. Interesting time, huh?
Wow.
To kick off the promo campaign for his new album, Invincible. Produced in large part by Rodney Jerkins, Invincible consciously evoked Off the Wall with the single You Rock My World, which reached 10 prior to the album's October release. Invincible entered the charts at number 1 in the US and the UK, but it didn't have staying power and never generated another hit single. Soon, music took a backseat to Jackson's personal life. He had a third child, Prince Michael Jackson II, in 2002, but the birth was overshadowed by erratic public appearances and legal problems, including an arrest in November 2003 for a child you-know-what. In June 2005, he was acquitted on all counts as the case played out. Sony released the first ever single disc collection of Jackson's peak number ones in 2003. It had a new song, One More Chance. Over the next few years, many catalog releases materialized. The 2004 box set, as we always talk about, right? The Ultimate Collection, the 2006 double disc set, The Essential Michael Jackson, a collector's box called Visionary in 2006, and his catalog saw deluxe reissues in 2008.
So he named both of his sons Prince Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And then his daughter has the name Michael in there too.
No, I don't think
Her
so.
name was
oh yeah, Paris Michael.
Michael.
Wow, that is bizarre.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That's very bizarre.
All right. So Jackson planned a major comeback for 2009 with a major tour called This Is It, featuring a long run of shows at London's O2 Arena. As he was in the midst of rehearsals in Los Angeles, he collapsed at home on the afternoon of June 25th, 2009. Rushed to the UCLA Medical Center, Jackson was pronounced dead of a cardiac arrest at the age of 50. An extensive investigation later named his death a homicide due to prescription drugs. Dr. Conrad Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. There's a lot of controversy about that.
Yeah, there is, man.
There's all these letters that surfaced where he thought that the industry was trying to kill him and stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And I believe he was planning a tour with he was planning to do something with Chris Cornell and what wasn't he? Wasn't that the rumor? I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he was planning on doing a thing with. Oh, so it didn't take long for posthumous releases to begin to hit the shelves. Interesting how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Motown released the remix suite in October
There
of
it is, man.
2009.
Remakes, best of.
Yep. And then a film documenting the 2009 concert rehearsals, really a documentary about rehearsals, was released as This Is It, along with a soundtrack. Next came a DVD set called Vision. And 2010 brought Michael, a collection of outtakes, most dating from Invincible. In 2012, the 25th anniversary of Bad brought an expanded reissue, of course, of the 1987 album. Epic released Escape in 2014, a record where L.A. Reid and Timbaland reworked demos recorded between Thriller and Invincible. Preceded by the single Love Never Felt So Good, an electronic duet with Justin Timberlake that went to the top 10. Escape earned gold certification. In 2016, Off the Wall received a deluxe reissue highlighted by an accompanying documentary directed by Spike Lee. Scream, a loosely Halloween-themed compilation, followed in 2017.
That's the article right there. That's the little bio about him.
Man, they really capitalized on him once he was gone. They're just like,
you know what I've gone to notice about all these artists who have passed is that they're worth more dead than they are alive.
well, that's one of the things that was said in his letter that he wrote to a good friend. Like, while he said that he thought they were going to kill him because they were after his catalog.
There's something about that too, about having a catalog. And this was a few months ago that I was poking about these popular artists with their catalogs, is that a lot of them were selling it. They were letting go of their catalogs. I don't know what that's all about. You know, those catalogs are a big deal. They cost a lot of money. So that would be an interesting thing to be digging on too, is the catalogs of artists, of these popular artists. I don't understand what was the reason why Paul McCartney was angry about Jackson buying the was it the Beatles catalog, or was it?
It was McCartney and Lennon's.
Yeah.
But I think it included other artists too. It was kind of like we bought like a group of songs from the label.
Yeah, that would be an interesting dig about catalogs.
They were good friends, and McCartney was his mentor and taught him all about music rights and owning songs and all that stuff. So it shouldn't have been a surprise that he bought all that stuff. It was kind of like protecting the music in a way, is what I believe was his rationale. Buying it to protect the music or whatever.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about a particular song. It's called, what was it again?
Do you know where your children are?
So I found,
which is knowing when everything, came to light. That's just a really creepy kind of title, I would say.
I found this article here. This is from the Daily Mail. And then we'll get into a couple more articles that Java was able to find here. But let's go ahead and share this so that people get a background of what the song's all about. I mean, it's portrayed as this, or what this article is showing. But I honestly think there's a little bit more to it just by listening to the lyrics.
Oh yeah.
All right, so this one is by thedailymail.com. And this was published back in April 2nd of 2014 by Lucy Crosley. Article reads, previously unheard Michael Jackson track set to be released is about child abuse, which is kind of ironic because of the accusations with him, right?
Yep.
Song's lyric tell of 12-year-old who runs away from home and turns to prostitution. A previously unheard Michael Jackson track set to be released on the singer's forthcoming posthumous album is about child abuse. This is weird, man.
And the fact that they, while he was alive, they withheld it and he didn't release it. was
Yeah.
really strange to me.
It's definitely weird. The new song entitled "Do You Know Where Your Children Are" tells us the story of a 12-year-old girl who runs away from her abusive stepfather and turns to prostitution. It is one of 8 tracks recorded by the singer before his death in June 2009 at the age of 50, which will feature on the album Escape, set to be released in May. Look at that.
Yeah, that's pretty odd.
That is odd. In one of the song's verses, Jackson sings, "She wrote that she is tired of stepdaddy using her / saying that he'll buy her things while, you know what, abusing her." According to the Daily Mirror. According to leaked lyrics from the chorus, the song continues, "Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. If they're somewhere out on the street, just imagine how scared they are." Which is, and I noticed too that number 12 was popping up a lot.
Yeah. The track includes the line, "Save me from this living hell," which makes you wonder if he's singing that about his own condition. Save me because I don't want to know. And fans of Jackson have speculated that it was written in response to abuse claims made against the singer. Or it could be his own abuse, is what I kind of think.
I think so too. And that this is one of the reasons why I was saying earlier about Quincy Jones, that there's been a lot of rumors about that dude and a lot of artists.
And the thing with him, this has been the controversy for decades, 30 years or something, but even though he was acquitted, just the fact that it's not the first time that something's come up. Part of it came up the first time that the kid was paid off.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was actually arrested on it. And then there's all the people that accused him later, but never, were too afraid to do it at the time. It's just, I don't know. Knowing what we know about the industry, it just doesn't set right that it doesn't seem like it's entirely made up or whatever. It seems like there's something with it.
Oh, absolutely. There's I mean, of course we don't have the solid proof, but it seems that there's a pattern here. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you look at how people, even like actors do to kids and that whole type of thing with celebrities, actors, politicians, musicians, the whole thing with kids is not just, it's not isolated incident.
No.
It's not just one artist. So that's what makes it, and the fact that he was forced to be in, part of the whole thing, it just seems like it, I don't know, like it really did happen.
I would think so, but that's pure speculation on my part.
Well, yeah, likewise. Okay. In the mid 1990s, Jackson was accused of abuse by the family of a 13-year-old boy, Jordan Chandler. The case was settled out of court for about $25 million, and no formal charges were brought against the singer because they settled.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean he didn't do it. That means it wasn't brought because he settled. In 2005, Jackson was tried and acquitted of further abuse allegations and several other charges after a jury in Santa Maria, California, found him not guilty of all counts.
Dancer Wade Robson is suing Jackson's estate after claiming that he suffered abuse over several years at the hands of the King of Pop. In 2005, Robson was a key witness who helped clear Jackson of the M charges. However, he has since claimed that he gave the favorable testimony after, quote, brainwashing by the singer. A hearing is due to take place in June. The new record Escape compromises of a collection of tracks recorded before the singer's death and uh, contemporized by Epic Records boss L.A. Reid and a team of producers, including Timbaland. Jackson's estate provided Reid with unlimited access to 4 decades worth of material by the singer, resulting in the new album due to be released on May 13th.
Makes you wonder when he actually wrote and recorded that song.
Yeah. Well, with a lot of these artists, man, especially the work ethic that Michael Jackson had, that he was writing a whole bunch of stuff that's not even released even till now. Because Tupac was the same way. Unfortunately,
Jimi Hendrix.
Unfortunately, with Tupac, there's been a lot of unreleased stuff that has been released just underneath, without the record labels. It's just, stuff that he put out that people were able to leak out.
Yeah. Okay, Michael left behind some musical performances that we take great pride in presenting through the vision of music producers that he either worked directly with or expressed strong desire to work with. We are extremely proud and honored to present this music to the world. The name Xscape is a nod to the late singer's favored naming process of picking one of his songs to name his record after. In this case, the title track, which was written and originally produced by Jackson and Rodney Jerkins. A deluxe edition of the record will also be released, which will include all of the sourced Michael Jackson recordings in their original form. Jackson's last studio album was his 10th and final record, Invincible, which was released in 2001 and features singles You Rock My World, Cry, and Butterflies. And Butterflies, to me, that's a nod to Monarch programming.
Oh, yeah, that's a good catch. That is a good catch. Now that I think about it, yeah, you're right. And it's good that you mentioned that because, when I was kind of digging into MJ himself, I was torn in between whether he really did the things that he was accused of, whether he did or not. Like, I really don't know. Because we know how this works, right? Sometimes there's shaming, ceremonies that need to be done to these people. So, the allegations I'm not saying they are or they aren't. They may be, they may be just allegations, in order for his reputation to be stained. And, another angle to this is who's to say that he really didn't want any of this anymore, that he really wanted to expose what was going on out there. And, that's probably why he disappeared. That could be another plausible, I guess you can say, theory. But I definitely think that this dude, just based on the things that I was just finding out about him and also watching like old interviews, he seems like he really doesn't, he really never had his own mind to begin with. There's always a handler who kind of coached him to say certain things and do, I don't know. That's just what I think.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely programmed, but also, the people that perpetuate the type of things that he was accused of, there's that's like one of the things that a lot of these powerful, rich people do. Like, look at Epstein, and look at all the people that famous people that Epstein had as clients.
Mm-hmm.
It was not totally out of the ballpark for other artists to be involved in this type of thing. And,
right.
It's possible that the orchestrators of that are the ones that helped cover it up because they weren't really quite ready for that kind of worms to be released to the public. It wasn't until Harvey Weinstein in more recent times got convicted, that a lot of stuff started, spilling out into the public eye.
Right. But in his position, in Weinstein's position, he was kind of like the dude to hold these. I guess I can loosely say like a casting couch to see if these women would be good enough for movies. So he was held in like a. Not to say that Michael Jackson was not in a position of power, because he was, but Weinstein was more of a behind the scenes kind of guy, who was in a position of power to use his power to get what he wanted, so that he kind of sold the idea of, oh yeah, you can be an actress if you know what I mean.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what they did to musical artists as well.
Yeah. Yes.
It was the same type of casting couch type of scenario. And, it's likely that happened to him and his brothers when they were
a guarantee,
children.
man. I mean, I know I'm just going based on speculation, but just the pattern of this whole thing, there's a reason why a lot of these people who have everything are all messed up. There's a reason for that. And it's not because they're not able to handle success. That could be partially true, but I think it goes deeper into why these people are all messed up. There's a purpose why a lot of them get into drugs. They're trying to cover something up, or if they get into alcoholism, they're trying to cover something that's deep in there that they can't handle themselves.
Well, that's the escape part of it, which makes it interesting why that album of his was titled that, Escape.
Yeah. And not to mention that I remember that there were rumors about him wanting to like, there was supposed to be like some kind of big announcement during his This Is It tour. He was supposed to make some kind of grandiose announcement. What it was, I don't know. It was just rumors of what I've heard. In the conspiracy communities, they were saying these bunch of things, which would have been really interesting to hear what he had to say. Maybe he did get tired of it. Maybe he was tired of being programmed to be this, or even have to be living this kind of lifestyle. Like, I don't know. I really don't. With this guy, I'm pretty sure he's complicit with a lot of things, but
yeah.
But is it one of those things where he naturally became like that? I don't think so.
No, it was part of the programming.
Yeah.
But I think that it's possible that Quincy Jones groomed him.
Oh man, that I should have brought this up even last week, because even there was a I believe that there was a leaked audio of Tupac saying something to the effect of that Quincy Jones was even inviting him to have, man and man sex. That's the rumor. And what makes it ironic was that at the time he was dating Quincy Jones's daughter. Tupac was.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's one of those things I should have brought. And I think Quincy Jones would be an interesting character to kind of dig into, to be honest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because he holds the keys to a lot of these artists back then for them to be popular. I don't know if you remember Tevin Campbell. You remember Tevin Campbell?
Yep.
He became popular because of Quincy Jones.
Oh yeah, lots of people did.
And he messed up Tevin Campbell, because Tevin Campbell now, he kind of looks like he's all messed up. So and he was still a child when he became famous too. When he became
I think he picks these kids and grooms them, like, because Michael was still a kid during The Wiz, when The Wiz was filmed. Michael was still a kid, and that's when he connected with Quincy in the 70s, early 70s.
Yeah. Yep. So that would be an interesting character. Maybe in a future show we could probably dig things on him. He's a producer. He's not necessarily. Well,
Right.
I guess he's an artist too.
He's a trumpet player.
Yeah, he's an artist too.
He started off with Ray Charles.
But he's more well known to be a producer.
Yeah.
All right. Here's another article that we have, and Java found this one through a good source, goodfight.org. This is in relation to the Good Fight Ministries, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those guys push out really good stuff. All right, so this one reads. This one was when was this? When was this article? I don't know when the article was written, but it's by Joe Schimmel, who is the founder of Good Fight Ministries. Article reads, "This is it: Michael Jackson and the Moral Decline of America." With the film release of Michael Jackson, This Is It, on October 28th, 2009, the king of pop is still receiving idolatrous praise by many of the liberal media, despite the preponderance of evidence suggesting that he was a CR. Tragically, as we have learned through the Roman Polanski saga, because I remember that was a big thing back then,
Yep.
if you have been anointed by the liberal media and have even a modicum of talent, they will give you a free pass to our America's children. Pardon me. Stacey Brown, co-author of Michael Jackson, The Man Behind the Mask, illustrates how even fans who acknowledge Jackson's guilt seemed to give Jackson a pass because he could sing and dance. Brown admits, "Let's face it, I'm not one to believe that Michael was innocent of children, but he was never convicted." And there's a source there if you guys are interested in that. You can find this article on goodfight.org. However, despite her belief that Jackson was guilty of CM, the starstruck Brown praises Michael Jackson as, quote, Elvis, the Rolling Stones, Frank Sinatra, and the Beatles all rolled into one. Should we place O.J. Simpson on a pedestal because of his incredible running ability and conclude, let's face it, I'm not one to believe that O.J. was innocent of murdering people, but he was never convicted?
Yeah, see the argument there? Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's right, because people do try and rationalize it.
Yeah, they do.
So the fact that so many Americans can easily ignore the horrific crimes that stars commit against our children is symptomatic of a culture that has been increasingly jaded by Darwinism, moral relativism, and Hollywood propaganda. While millions of dollars was enough to quiet parents whose children claimed that Jackson had molested them, many in the popular media cashed in by ignoring his alleged crimes and glorifying his bizarre persona. New York Congressman Peter King sought to set the record straight and asked what glorifying a perv like Michael Jackson says about us as a country. King said that Jackson, who is believed by most Americans to have been a CM, is being glorified day in and day out, while society completely ignores the efforts of teachers, police officers, firefighters, and veterans. Let's knock out the psychobabble, King said. He was a perv and a CM, and he was a pedo. And to be giving this much coverage to him day in and day out, what does that say about us as a country?
While one would expect some in an increasingly godless society to exalt a man who has known to sleep with, you can see it for yourself, it is tragic when those who claim to be spiritual leaders ignore Jackson's you-know-what lifestyle and speak of him as though he is now entertaining angels by doing the moonwalk in heaven. The irony in that, huh? David Pack, a Grammy Award-winning artist, music director, and a member of Saddleback Church, wrote in The Purpose-Driven Connection, One of the greatest artists of our time is now moonwalking along the gold-paved roads of heaven, where streets have no name, with a broad smile on his face. The picture becomes even more disheartening when we consider the fact that MJ had a penchant for simulating S on stage before thousands of boys and girls. When Oprah Winfrey asked Jackson why he repeatedly grabbed his you-know-what on stage, he claimed that he had no control over his actions. If Jackson had a hard time controlling his deviant inclinations under bright stage lights before tens of thousands of children, how could anyone in their right mind assume that he controlled himself in private with young children in bed? Okay, I'm gonna say something here as far as this goes, because just based on my observation, and I'm no expert in this, but I do recognize spiritual things. Now, there seems to be two different types of characters with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
When he's doing an interview, he seems very shy, very childlike. He seems I don't know. It's almost as if he's not a full-grown adult, right?
Right. Yep.
But when he's on stage, it's a completely different person. Like, it's somebody who's who's very, very out there. And what I can gather just by this observation is that that's a spirit, man.
Right.
When you're on that level of fame, and it's been multiple artists who even said something to the effect of that, like when they're out performing, they it's almost as if another spirit comes in them and uses them to perform their concerts. So just based on that, just by multiple artists kind of saying that stuff, and just by watching, I honestly think that it's a different type of spirit that's on stage as opposed to his actual real life. And I'm not trying to say this in defense to, the accusations made to Jackson, but it's just an observation that I make that
Right.
that he's a totally different person. And I know
He admits it too.
there it is. There it is. When you have somebody saying that themselves,
He says that he's basically has said that a spirit comes into his body when he's performing.
Well, I've heard Beyonce say that too. Also, Lady Gaga says things like that as well. And Rihanna, they all admit these kind of things.
Yeah.
All right, let me get this.
To make matters worse, Jackson used his vast resources to transform Neverland Ranch into a magnet for children and a pedo's paradise. The entire ranch was designed to allure countless children onto his property and into his bed, according to this author. Beyond the testimony of that type of thing by children, and there is testimony, Jackson shared his bedwith and the millions of dollars he gave these families to settle their lawsuits. There are other deeply disturbing facts as well. Michael Jackson also had an elaborate, specialized alarm system that alerted him anytime someone was near his bedroom, lest someone enter his room and interrupt his personal time with unsuspecting kids he found attractive. Add to this the fact that investigators found risque books in his room with pictures of kids, and the picture becomes alarmingly clear. Moreover, Jackson was known to have had relationships with other adult males as well. Ian Halperin, Jackson's biographer, who authored Unmasked, the final years of Michael Jackson, and claimed that Jackson had only 6 months to live, last December stated, "In the course of my investigations, I spoke to two of his lovers, one a Hollywood waiter and the other an aspiring actor. The waiter had remained friends, perhaps more, with the singer until his death. He had served Jackson at a restaurant. Jackson made his interest plain, and the two slept together the following night.
Halpern states that he was shown evidence of Jackson's, relations with the waiter, which included photographs of the gay lovers together. Halper further stated when Jackson lived in Las Vegas, one of his closest aides told how he would sneak off to a quote grungy rat-infested motel, often dressed as a woman to disguise his identity, to meet a male construction worker he had fallen in love with. The absurd picture of MJ during the moonwalk in heaven before the thrice holy God becomes even more insidious when we realize that Jackson engaged in black magic in an effort to murder several people that made his enemies list. Interesting. In our documentary, they sold their souls for rock and roll, which I would highly recommend you check out if you can, with the Good Fight Ministries here on the YouTubes. Shout out to them. We document how MJ claimed that he was in touch with spirit entities and that he used a special room full of mirrors to commune with these spirits. Wow, I didn't even realize this. Jackson claimed, all I know about this dude is he was a devout Jehovah's Witness. He was a very devout Jehovah's Witness. Jackson claimed that he sought their guidance in regard to using their music. He even went so far as to claim that music was audibly communicated to him through dreams, and that he was merely the messenger bringing these songs into the world. Now, I will say this: this probably happened after he got booted out of the JWs, because he was a very devout JW. I mean, he would also knock on people's doors, what they do, because that's part of their works.
Mm-hmm.
And he would even when he was famous, he would still do it, but he would wear a disguise. And then because of his fame, he got big. The JWs just started to say, you know what? You're too much of the world and we can't accept what you're doing. So you need to make a decision between your faith and your fame. So apparently he picked his fame. And I would probably say because he got booted out of the JWs that he probably turned into this whole esoteric stuff right here, I think.
Well, yeah, and it's also the influences around him and being in the industry. Paul McCartney and stuff, they were good friends, and they were all into the occult and the Crowley type stuff.
Yep.
The Room of Mirrors is definitely a Aleister Crowley thing.
Yep.
Okay, in 2000, Vanity Fair reported, and this is Vanity Fair, mind you, not which is a major
magazine
publication. It's not just it's not a tabloid, so to speak. Vanity Fair reported that Jackson went so far as to bathe in blood and have a number of animals sacrificed.
Wow.
So he could put death curses on Steven Spielberg and others. In the article, it was reported that Jackson attended a voodoo ritual in Switzerland, and a witch doctor named Baba sacrificed 42 cows as part of the death curse ceremony.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Jackson ordered his former business advisor, Myung-Ho Lee, to wire $150,000 to a bank in Mali to cover the cost of the ceremony. The witch doctor promised Jackson that Spielberg, music mogul David Geffen, and 23 other people on Jackson's hit list would die. But ironically, it was Michael Jackson himself who would end up dying a premature death.
Now, my question is, why are they on his list?
That's what I want. I wonder.
That's the question.
I think these are the people that instigated because we've heard stories about Spielberg and his abuse
right
of people. I don't know. I think these are the ones that got him into all this stuff, and maybe the ones who abused him.
So would it be a fair thing to say that maybe he got sick of all these things, and he wanted out?
I think so. I think towards the end, he definitely wanted out.
I think so too. He's very protective of his children, which tells me that, there's something there that's, I don't want to say
it's all like he doesn't want what happened to him
happen to them
to happen to them.
Yeah, that's what. There you go. Yeah,
he almost feels like it's too late for him to turn himself around. So while he's deep up in all this type of stuff, doing a voodoo ritual is kind of, wow.
That is nuts, man. I didn't even know this about him. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting.
And this was like in a major, like I'm saying, it's not in the Weekly World News or whatever. This is in the actual
Vanity Fair. Yeah.
Yeah, market. You could buy the magazine in the market kind of level of magazine.
Yeah, it's like Cosmo and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So as further evidence to Jackson's occult practices, Michael claimed that a force that he referred to as a spirit would seize control of his body while he was performing. This is what you were talking about. When we consider the fact that this spirit repeatedly compelled Jackson to grab himself before his young, adoring, and impressionable fans, that he was involved with perverse behavior with kids, and that he sought to harness dark spiritual forces to commit basically mass murder.
Crazy.
And it becomes evident that the destructive dark spirits that Jackson relied upon to influence the masses had nothing to do with the Holy Spirit or of the living God. And just the last paragraph real quick, as the liberal media and Hollywood elitists continue to parade these deviants and addicts before our children and chip away at the moral foundation of our nation, it is imperative now more than ever that wise parents teach their kids how to discern the difference between good and evil and train them up in the way that they should go.
This is heavy, dude. I did not realize this, but I can almost say that. I mean, I can say that this probably happened after he got booted out of the JW church. I mean, I have.
Do you know what age he was when he got booted out?
Man, I wish I knew.
Was it in the 80s or before, in the 70s?
No, it was in the 80s. It was in the 80s.
Like after Thriller and stuff?
Yeah, it was after Thriller. It was after Thriller. Because that's when he became really huge. It was that album that made it skyrocketed him. And I don't think that the JWs appreciated that. And especially with him, he was of just reading history on his faith. And I have issues with the JW church. I do. But he had spiritual direction, and it was his mother who was a very heavy influence with his JW faith. And he was devout. Like I said, he would do the whole knocking on the door kind of thing, and do the works that they're supposed to do in that church. And the things that I found out too is that he would even teach his children some of those JW teachings as well. But man, just you reading this would definitely bring that to this is another level of Michael Jackson that I didn't even know.
Most people don't know about this side. See, that's why I really think he was trying to save his kids from all this.
Yeah, but he was using the wrong thing to save his children. He was using the thing that is destroying him, thinking that he can turn that around to destroy his enemies, and that's not the way it works.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because being that he's a JW, right? Or he should have known that if God is the true God that he is, that you cannot use this kind of evil to fight evil. He should have known that.
Yeah, this stuff happened way later, I believe. So he must have definitely been way out of the church by then.
Yeah, because
know
what I found out about him and the JW Church, that was right. It was not. I don't know if it was right after Thriller, but it was after the album Thriller. I think it was during. Actually, it was after the Bad album. That's what it was. It was after the Bad album. So it was in the early '90s. No, it was the late '80s, early '90s. Yeah, somewhere around there. Right?
Yeah, that album was like
80s?
87.
Okay. So we're talking about late '80s. Because after the Bad album, I think the thing that was the what's the saying I could say, the thing that broke the camel's back was when he was shooting that music video of Smooth Criminal, when he was firing a gun. That's when the Jehovah's Witness church said, no, we've had enough of what you're doing. You're either going to have to pick your musical career, or you have to pick your church. And he obviously picked his career. So,
well, he was deep up in it by then.
Yeah.
Like, those things that probably had to happen for his career to launch like that. And once again, they called him away from his family, his brothers and stuff. We've talked about how they psychologically profile people that they want to utilize as their mouthpieces.
Right.
Like Madonna, Gaga, all them. And MJ was no different. They pulled him away from his they started doing that when he did a little bit of a solo thing in the 70s.
Well, I think I would say his father was the one who was ambitious for them to become famous.
Yeah.
So of course,
he probably got a deal. They probably gave him he got a deal. It's just like we've seen that with a lot of parents will do that to their kids.
Unfortunately, huh?
Like that, the Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus thing. We saw that.
Well, even what's her name? What's her name? She's like a redheaded chick who was in the Disney Club.
Oh
man, she got arrested. I forgot what her name was, man.
Not Kelly Clarkson.
No. Oh gosh, I can't even think of it, man. But she was a celebrity. Man, I can't think of her name right now. I hate when this happens. But she was one of those too, where her parents were kind of I guess we can kind of say kind of pimping them out.
Yep.
Who else was like that? It was
like Britney Spears.
There was another one. The one that's in my intro. The one who said she wanted to be the Amy Grant of what's her name, man?
Oh yeah.
I forgot, man. I hate when these things happen, man. But anyhow, but yeah, what were we talking? We were talking about how parents would. Okay, so absolutely, MJ's dad was in a he was in a spot where he was ambitious for his children to be famous so that he can get rich. So I guarantee that the industry used that and went. They definitely went through that venue because he wanted that fame for his children so he can get rich. And I think from there, man, I don't think he understood that his children will I don't know, how do you say, his children would definitely be sold out to something that destroys them. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it makes you wonder how far the father was into all that stuff as well. You know, he was probably promised a lot of stuff in exchange for his kids.
Isn't that sad, man? That is so sad. Okay, the chats here on YouTube are saying Lindsay Lohan. That's the girl that I was talking about. Yeah. Thank you, chats. Thank you, Pixie Doodle and Krista. Thank you. Yeah, Lindsay Lohan was definitely one of those where her parents used her for their wealth. I mean, that's so sad, man. That is so sad. Man. All right. So let's go ahead and shall we just go ahead and go to the lyrics? Because
yeah,
because this is what we have. All the stuff that we have, it's a lot.
Yeah,
and
so just keeping what we just read in mind, and what we've been talking about, it has a whole other meaning to these words and stuff too.
All right. So, like we always do here, I just want to throw out a reminder out there, especially on the YouTubes, and I believe, am I on Twitter? Yeah, I think I'm on Twitter. Just a reminder, I don't think there's anybody. Let me just check if there's somebody listening on Twitter. I doubt it, but let me just double check here real quick. Yeah, I don't have anybody on Twitter. So just as a reminder for people who are on the YouTubes, we're gonna go ahead and check out the music video after we talk about the lyrics here. You know the game. You know how this game is played. I cannot play it here in the YouTubes. So if you want to come by and just check out the last part of the show where we talk about the music video, and it's interesting because we kind of we did this with the video last week where we were slowing down things to kind of take a look at what's in there. So if you're interested, you can come over either to the Foxhole or you can come over to my Twitch page. And once again, I'll put the links over there for both. Let me just go here real quick. Sorry, I can't multitask for anything. So here's my Twitch link. And let me put the Foxhole link there too. Give me just a sec here, peeps. You can go to either one of those. You don't have to. I don't think you have to create an account. You don't have to, but if you do create it does help me out if you follow me for sure. So if you can, if you can create an account, or if you don't want to, that's fine. But we'll be there to talk about the video. Just make sure. Okay. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and review the lyrics here, and then after that, I'm going to have to kill YouTubes, and we're going to be going exclusively on the Foxhole and Twitch, I believe. All right, so this one is for the song, Do You Know Where Your Children Are? Oh, my goodness. Okay, off the bat, look at the track number.
Yeah.
Off the bat, man. Off the bat.
Okay. And just the title just creeped me out because just in light of all the allegations and everything else.
It's ironic, isn't it?
Calling a song, Do You Know Where Your Children Are? I'm just like, that is weird.
It is. It's very ironic. Okay, so I'll start off with the first verse and then the chorus. And I want you guys to take notice of how many times 12 is mentioned. Okay. Verse 1, father comes home from work. He's scared to death. Mother cries for the kid, and the note she read. Father runs to the table and said, "What's going on?" Mother cries desperately, "Our little baby's gone." The chorus reads, "Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. If they're somewhere out on the street, just imagine how scared they are. Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. If they're somewhere out there, out on the street, just imagine how scared they are.
And remember, 12 o'clock is the witching hour, technically.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
The witching hour.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't let a child be outside at midnight, you know?
Yep.
Very strange. Okay, verse 2. She wrote that she is tired of stepdaddy using her, saying that he'll buy her things while abusing her. Just think that she's all alone, somewhere out on the street. How will this girl survive? She ain't got nothing to eat. Then the chorus again. Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. If they're somewhere out on the street, just imagine how scared they are. Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. Yeah, if they're somewhere out on the street, just imagine how scared they are. I can't help but shake that whole verse and stuff is about himself. This song's about him.
You're talking about the verse or the chorus?
The verse, like verse 2, the chorus, this just makes me think that it happened to him.
Okay.
Especially coming into the bridge.
All right, the bridge says, save me from this living hell. Okay, especially the bridge. I can understand, I can totally see that this is definitely him.
This is Michael pleading for help somehow.
I think so. Save me from this living hell. Save me because I want to help. Save me, I'm tired and I'm mad. Save me because it ain't no joke. Save me because I'm out for blood. Save me because I don't want to ignore. Save me, it's time I replied. Save me because I want to defeat. Save me.
Out for blood, that's weird considering about that ritual we just read about.
Right?
He was literally out for blood.
Yeah, he paid blood to be out for blood.
Right. Now she's on the move. She's off to Hollywood. Here we go with kids in Hollywood again. She says she want to be which reminds me, Macaulay Culkin. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah, I sure do.
Wow. She says she want to be a star. She heard the money's good. She gets off from the train station. The man is waiting there. I'll show you where the money is, girl. Just let down your hair. He's taking her on the streets of Sunset Boulevard. She's selling her body hot. Girl, that will take you far. Wait, but this is a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like no one. Why is it calling her body hot in that verse? That's indicative of his real thoughts. The police come around the corner. Somebody there, they told. He's arresting this little girl who's only 12 years old.
So the girl's 12 years old. And on the course, 12 is mentioned twice.
Yeah.
So 12 times 3? 36. 36 equates to 3 6s, right?
Right.
Man, Uncool got me thinking about these numbers now. All right. So I think this is the final course. Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. If they're somewhere out on the street, just imagine how scared they are. Do you know where your children are? Because it's now 12 o'clock. If they're somewhere out on the street, just imagine how scared they are. Do you know where your children are? Do you know where your children are? Because now, it's now 12 o'clock, which is the third time he mentions this. Do you know where's your baby? If they're somewhere out on the street, where's your baby? Where's your baby? Just imagine how scared they are. He mentions 12 o'clock again, man.
And how scared they are. And where's your baby?
Chorus again. Same old thing.
Yep. And then the outro. She's your baby. Do you know where your children are? Do you know where your children? She's a baby, just a baby.
And he repeats that. So, this right here, the bridge,
Yep.
that tells me a lot right there, man.
Yeah.
This tells me a lot. I mean, we can all have our thoughts on what MJ has done, but I think eventually he didn't want to be a part of it. I think this is what I'm getting from it. He eventually didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and unfortunately, he was using he was going about it the wrong way to get out.
Right.
You know, all he could have done was simply repent, man, and give his life to Christ. But hey, you know, maybe he believes in this ritualistic black magic stuff. I mean, that's all they do up in Hollywood anyway, right? That's what these celebrities do all the time.
Spirit cooking and all that stuff.
Yep.
So, him wanting help and wanting to be freed. I think a lot of this stuff definitely came up during the last part of his life. And it's possible because he wrote several letters. People have taken pictures of the letters that he wrote. You can I read his actual letters that he sent people at the very end, the last few days. And he kept telling his close friends that he thought that they wanted to kill him, that they were trying to get rid of him. And to me, it's if he wanted to get out, is that a reason why they got rid of him? Because they were worried that he would spill all the secrets, all the stuff to happen.
You know what's weird? You know how things are just out there now? It's just openly out there now. I kind of find it weird that maybe they wanted to hush him up. Maybe the timing of opening the door to this thing wasn't the right time.
Yeah. And
now the times that we're living in here in 2023, that everything's just so blatant now that people would just kind of they won't take a serious thought into it anymore because they've been programmed to think that it's normal now.
Right.
So possibly, I mean, I think the plan was to let it out, but I think the timing of the plan to let it out was just not the right time.
Well, and there's a difference between, someone that's trying to not promote it and trying to escape it and get out of it. What they would say about it, as opposed to people who are in it and promoting it.
Let me ask you this though. Let's say for argument's sake, like this year, like today, and if one of these celebrities was to come out and let's just say expose the whole thing, do you think, and I'm not talking about people like you and I who know what's been going on for a long time, or even to the people who listen to the show, right? Because everybody has an idea about what this whole industry is all about. But just to the regular normie, do you think that they would be like, oh man, that person's just crazy? Do you think they would just dismiss that person and not take him seriously? Because I honestly think
Maybe.
these days
I mean-
now that if one of these celebrities were to come out and just openly say that in a way where they're trying to get out, I honestly think that a lot of people would just kind of dismiss them, saying,
Well, and then the media would denigrate them too, because that's the main thing. If social media and the other forms of media attack somebody, then try and discredit them, that's the methods now.
Yeah.
Like, look what just happened with Russell Brand.
Oh, yeah. But
he
lot
started
of people
talking about stuff, and then
people
whammo.
are 50-50 with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be like people are 50-50, and I honestly think that maybe they're just putting that out there to see what kind of reaction it gets. And if the reaction now is like 50-50, just give it a few more years, man. People are going to be like, no, that's not real. And I'm beginning to think that maybe, I'm not saying that this is true, but also the Me Too movement, maybe that was something there to kind of like work against what the Me Too was supposed to be about. Because now it makes people think like, oh, they're just accusing these people of these things to get rich or to get clout or to be, it's weird, man. It's weird how
Controlled
this,
opposition.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's just weird how everything is just.
Well, it's interesting because then another example of modern right now times, you have two people that are actually coming out and saying stuff is Mel Gibson and Denzel Washington are both speaking out. And you see with the Sound of Freedom, for example, the pushback against that. And it's like a person factually, like they were rescuing trafficked kids. And the pushback from the media against that is huge because they don't want that stuff out there.
Yeah, but I also I'm not all in that, because there could be also a timing to release these things, and how Caviezel kind of he was kind of promoting he was saying something to the effect, this was an interview because he was the main actor of that movie, right? He was saying something to the effect of like, I'm Jesus and Trump is Moses. So I'm thinking, well, okay, so there's something there too, This whole thing, man, everything, and I hate to be living I don't like to be living in a way where I'm thinking that everything has some kind of
well, it's because there's so many psyops going on, and
there
it's
it
hard.
is. Yes,
that's why it's important to practice discernment and really hone in on your discernment skills. That's the most important skill this day and age, with all the hoopla, all the things playing with everybody's minds.
Yeah, no, that's true, and this is exactly one of the reasons why, man. I've had heavy conversations with you about my faith, and this is exactly why. This is the times that we're living in right now is all spiritual, dude. Even though the media throws out stuff out there, or even people in the quote alt media throws stuff out there, I still cannot trust man. I always have to be led by the correct spirit, and the only way that I do that is when I commune with Christ. And when I read my scriptures, that's when I know I'm being led the right way. Since I've gone in this relationship with Christ and this journey, I don't think I've ever been led in a bad way. I don't think I have, because I haven't experienced anything yet to kind of bite me in the behind. But man, when I used to follow a lot of the things of the world, and the 17th letter was one of those things I used to follow like to the T. Those things led me astray, man, and it led me to a place that I shouldn't have even been. But I'm glad that because of things like that, it led me to Christ. So you're right about being, about discernment now, and I think the only way you're going to be able to gain that is if you have your relationship with Christ, because discernment comes from your spiritualness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, your spiritual compass for sure.
Yep. So man, this was so far what we got here about MJ is a lot. And
Yeah.
it's not enough to do a whole show, but like I said, we're going to do the music video on the other side with the Twitch side and the Foxhole side. So you guys on the YouTube lands, you guys are more than welcome to come over. You know, it'll help the channel build up on those platforms. But also just to see your names out there would be kind of cool too. And also it's interesting when we start to slow the video down. We'll go frame by not exactly frame by frame, but if we see something interesting within these frames, we'll stop and we'll look and we'll really deep into it. Because man, I tell you, last week when we did that with the Tupac video, we found a bunch of stuff that was really weird.
All kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah, and it's only because we slowed it down. So I would heavily recommend to come over and you know, catch these things. It'll be interesting. But I really want to thank you guys over there on the YouTube side. Is there anything you want to promote before I let the YouTubes and Twitter go?
Just you know, make sure that you stay in love and stay in positivity and be a good example for your kids and for your family.
Cool. All right, YouTubes. Well, I hope to catch you again on Fellowship if you guys don't come over. Or you know, if yeah, I hope to catch you guys in Fellowship either what's today? Sunday, either tomorrow or maybe Tuesday. So I thank you guys over there on the YouTube side. Before I let the YouTubes go, let me see who's all up in there first, because I'll be able to say my goodbyes to these to the peeps out there. I want to say hello to Krista Cadogan, Pixie Doodle, Flatlined, Nana P, Tree Gamble, AJ Blunt, Shulamite. I think that's all. Who's over there? I'll definitely read on the chats afterwards, just so I can see what you guys were talking about there. And I apologize that I'm not interactive right now because I'm having to control all these things, and I suck at multitasking. But hey, I invite you guys over if you want to come over and just check it out. We'll probably spend another, like, I don't know, maybe 20-30 minutes, and then the show will be over. So you're more than welcome to come to the other platforms. So with that being said, you guys have a blessed night. Once again, I thank you for your support and coming over to watch. Hold on, I'm trying to find my thing here. Okay. Yeah, I thank you guys for your support to come and giving the likes and sharing and subscribe and all that stuff. Please continue to do that so it helps the YouTube algos pick up my channel, so that my channel will be out there more, will be present out there for the suggestions, especially for the fellowship shows, because this is what this place is mostly about. It's the fellowship. We do this show kind of like an entertainment thing, and also just to expose what the music industry is about. So with that being said, guys, God bless you guys. Have a great evening, and I'll see you guys on the fellowship shows. So good night to you guys on the YouTubes and the Twitters.